A brand new season is about to get underway, but it's the same old Premier League predictions video. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be the Premier League predictions video. It's that time of the weekend, people. It's a brand new season, but the Premier League predictions video is back. This, of course, is the video where I talk about each and every single game coming up in a round of matchday fixtures, give my talk, analysis, and of course predictions on how I think those games will turn out. This is for match day 1 of the brand new 2026-27 Premier League season. I'm ready to go, but before we get into it, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And of course, I encourage each and every single one of you to get involved in the comment section down below. Use and abuse that comment section, people, and talk to me on how you think the first match day of the brand new campaign will go. Who do you think will win? Who do you think will lose? Give me your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings. Most of all, of course, your predictions down below in that comment section, because after all, people, where would a Premier League predictions video be after all without predictions? Sounds good? Great. Let's get things moving then, shall we? Let's start off with the opening game of the brand new season. And the opening game of the brand new season features the Premier League champions of Arsenal. I actually do like that the Premier League champions actually kick off the brand new season. I think that should happen regularly. Anyway, they're kicking off the brand new season against one of the Premier League new boys in Coventry. And as you can see, I've gone with a 2-0 victory to the Gunners. I think Arsenal will be carrying on their momentum from last week's Community Shield triumph against Manchester City. They were worthy winners on that day. They controlled the game, they dominated the game, and they were very good value for their victory. I think they'll continue that here. I think you don't really want to be facing one of the Premier League new teams right off the bat, but Arsenal should be winning this game regardless. And, of course, they are kicking off their campaign at home. They're kicking off their title defence at home. So that's also in their favour as well. I think for Coventry, it's going to be interesting to see if Frank Lampard's learned anything from, obviously, the last time he was in the Premier League. But they are facing a massive uphill struggle to, of course, maintain their Premier League status this year. And it doesn't get any trickier than with the start that they have right up against the champions on the opening day of the season. This is going to be an interesting one, though. I can't wait to see how Coventry line up and how they set up. It's going to be an interesting one, but I think it will be a very comfortable victory for Arsenal, and I'm going at the very least 2-0 to the Gunners. Next up, another one of the Premier League new boys, Hull City. They take on Manchester United, and I've gone with a 2-1 win to Manchester United. The difference for me in this game is going to be individual quality. It's going to be depth, and I think United will have that in abundance over Hull. I think early season could see a bit of rustiness, as we do tend to see from a lot of big teams. A bit of rustiness as they obviously come to grips and come to terms with the season that is. And I think that maybe that will potentially play into Hull's hands. Again, you don't really want to be playing one of the Premier League new teams, especially after many, many years being away from England's top flight division. I imagine Hull's home ground is going to be absolutely buzzing with the return of Premier League football. And it might just unnerve Manchester United a little bit. It might just throw them off their game a little bit, which Hull can probably take advantage of, at least initially. But like I say, I think eventually the individual quality, the likes of Bruno Fernandes, for example, and the strength in depth that Manchester United do have, the options that they will have off the bench might just be a bit too much for Hull City in the end. Hull, again, similar to Coventry, facing a massive uphill battle to survive in the Premier League this season, but again, if they take a leaf out of Sunderland's book and they make their home ground an absolute fortress, then there is a possibility that maybe, just maybe, they could surprise a fair few people by staying up this year. Again, it's going to be a massive uphill battle for them. It's a big battle right off the bat against Manchester United. but it's one that I think United will just about get the victory in. And I'm going to say that Michael Carrick's side come up with 3 points. Next up, and the third and final Premier League new boy to be making their appearance in the Premier League this year is Ipswich Town. And they're going to be playing host to Sunderland in their first game. And I've gone 2-1 to Sunderland. Again, I'm reiterating the points that I've already made. You don't want to be playing one of the Premier League new boys away from home to kick off the season, but that's exactly what Sunderland are doing. But I still think that with the quality that Sunderland possess and with the way that they obviously surprised a lot of people last year by staying up to begin with, I think Sunderland will get the job done. I think Sunderland probably defensively are going to be sound in this game. Midfield-wise, I think they've got a decent balance. And I think up front in the attacking third, I think they've got some dangerous threats that I think can win them the game in this one. Ipswich, like I say, if they've learnt from their experiences a couple of years ago, I know it's a different manager, different setup, different most things in their team, to be honest with you. If they've learnt anything from the past couple of years, then Ipswich may use that experience to maybe go one step further and actually claim Premier League survival this year. But again, that is a massive ask. That is a massive, massive ask, especially when you consider that all 3 Premier League new boys are probably all favourites to go down for the brand new season. We'll see obviously how they go. They did show a lot of fight and a brave, valiant effort when they were last in the Premier League. They didn't have the individual quality needed in specific areas to really get the points that they needed to survive. We'll see if they've learned anything from that experience and that time, but I do believe Sunderland get the job done and kick off their season with 3 big points. Next up, Everton against Crystal Palace, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Now, whilst Everton rely on the ever-reliable, ever-consistent, ever-present David Moyes, Crystal Palace have decided to throw a bit of caution to the wind this season by appointing a brand new manager. Oliver Glasgow, of course, left. They've appointed a brand new manager at the helm at Selhurst Park. And I don't really know what to make of the guy, Pierre Sage. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I'm just going to go with Pierre Sage. I don't really know what to make of the guy. I don't really know much about him, so I'm very much intrigued to see how Palace do this season. They're obviously taking a big gamble, throwing someone who is a debutant in the Premier League into the fold. So I'm very much intrigued by this, because obviously Palace had a very decent team building under Oliver Glasgow, still got a decent team building, but of course they've lost a couple of key players. There may be 1 or 2 more players out of the door at Selhurst Park before the transfer window is even up. And of course, when you factor in that they have Europa League football this season rather than Europa Conference League football, there's a lot there for Palace to be both excited about and maybe a little bit cautious about as well. They start the season off against Everton, and if they are to have a decent season, then they're going to have to make these games count before they are playing 2 games a week. Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium should start to feel like home for them now, and that's really going to be a big test this year as to whether or not they can improve in certain areas. I said in my Premier League predictions video that I don't really see Everton pulling up any major trees. But at the same time, I don't think they're in danger either. I think it'll be like another middle-of-the-road kind of season for Everton, in which there'll be some good moments, there'll be some poor moments, and then there'll just basically be moments, essentially. They'll pull off a few surprises here and there, and then they'll be on the receiving end of a few surprises here and there as well. So it's the typical sort of up and down, yo-yo-y type season for Everton, and I think it will start off in the middle with a mediocre draw against Crystal Palace in this one, whilst I try and work out how Palace will do this season. Like I say, very much intrigued with the new manager. We'll see, obviously, how that goes. Next up, it is Nottingham Forest against Leeds United, and I've gone with a 2-2 draw. Desmond for this one. Nottingham Forest 2, Leeds United 2 is what I predicted. And if you've been watching my Premier League predictions video, big up to you if you have. I really do appreciate that. But I've picked these two teams as my two teams to watch this season. Now, of course, you can maybe throw Chelsea into the mix as well. And maybe one or two others for maybe good and for bad reasons. Bad reasons maybe being like a Newcastle, for example, who a lot of people, myself included, think could be in danger this season. But these two teams, I think they are ones to watch. I think they've had very good summers. I think they've had very good transfer windows. I think the appointment of Oliver Glasner has been inspired by Nottingham Forest. I think that's a brilliant appointment to say that this is a team that last season chopped and changed managers almost at will. So I think these two teams could be definitely ones to watch. Leeds United, especially last season towards the end. I mean, they defied a lot of people's expectations by surviving brilliantly in the way that they did. But it was towards the end of the season, wasn't it, where their form just really went up a few extra levels, and they really did manage to leave everybody else in the dust behind them. And they were brilliant. And I think the acquisition of the likes of James Trafford and Harry Wilson have been excellent signings. And I would like to see them in action in a Leeds United shirt. Whilst for Forest, like I say, I think Glasner's been a brilliant appointment. I think the signing of Diomande is brilliant as well. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing both of these two teams in action. And in this particular game, I can't really pick a winner. Opening day of the season is always difficult to predict winners because you don't know who's going to surprise you, whether it be for good or for bad. So I'm calling it down the middle. I'm saying 2-2. I'm hoping for goals galore. But yes, definitely do keep an eye on these two teams in particular. Next up, it is action from Brentford as they take on Tottenham. And again, you can throw Tottenham's name into the mix of teams that you should keep an eye on after what has been an incredible transfer window for Spurs. And it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. Between now and a couple of weeks left of the window, it looks like they're going to be bringing in a couple more players, or at least looking to bring in a couple more players. So it's been a massive season for Spurs. We'll see how obviously they do in that regard. But for Brentford, like I say, I think a lot more teams are going to be paying them a lot more respect this season. And that could be a bit of a bad thing for Brentford. Last season, I think a lot of people predicted that they would struggle, myself included. And I hold my hands up time and time again and say I was wrong on that one. Because I thought after losing a couple of key players, after losing their captain, after losing their long-time consistent manager, I thought Brentford would struggle, and they did anything but struggle. They were absolutely brilliant, and full credit goes to the squad, the club, and of course their manager Keith Andrew, who came in as a set-piece coach and really did defy expectations. This season, they might be treated a little differently. They might be given a bit more respect, which means that maybe teams are going to be a bit more cautious around them, cover more areas, and, of course, maybe identify certain weaknesses as well that Brentford possess. And that might be something that, if they don't adapt, could be a bit of a struggle for Brentford. I still think they'll survive. I still think they will be safe and sound. Mid-table sort of finish, somewhere around about anywhere from 11th to 14th, maybe. I think I put them in 12th to finish in my Premier League predictions video. So I think Brentford will be safe and sound, but I don't think it will be as interesting as what it was last season. As for Spurs, like I say, I think for Spurs, it will be a start of the season where it might be a little bit hit and miss. When they look good, they look really, really good. When they look poor, they do look poor. They'll give away stupid goals, stupid fouls, whatever the case may be. But when they go forward, they will look devastating. They will look really, really good, I think. Whether or not they have the clinical edge right now to finish off those chances, I don't know. But I do think they will create enough of them in this game especially to go on and win the game by 2-1. So I'm going with Spurs to win. And I'm looking forward to what is going to be a intriguing season for both of these sides, I'm sure. Next up, Manchester City take on Bournemouth, and both of these teams are starting off new eras at their respective clubs. For Man City, at the end of the 25-26 Premier League season, they witnessed the goodbye, the farewell of Pep Guardiola. And over the summer, they have welcomed in Enzo Maresca. As for Bournemouth, they of course saw Andone Areola leave after helping them towards Europa League football, and have welcomed in Marco Rose in his place. I'm intrigued by both of these sides. And again, I'm intrigued by a lot of Premier League sides this season, simply for the reason that a lot of Premier League sides are either new to the league or they are starting the season off with brand new managers. And both of these teams are doing exactly that. For City, we saw a little bit of them in action against Arsenal. I wouldn't read too much into that, especially from the losing team's perspective, and especially when you consider that a lot of City's players had only just came back from international duty or from holiday. So I wouldn't read too much into the loss in the Community Shield, but I would be expecting a better performance this time around than what they did show against Arsenal last Sunday. And as for Bournemouth, I'm very much intrigued. Like, they had a good squad building up. They still do, but they lost a couple of key players, mainly like Senesi, for example. And of course, a brand new manager as well, who similarly to Crystal Palace is new to the league, is a debutant in the league. So I'm very much intrigued to see how he does and how he takes to the league and how he takes to this Bournemouth side, especially considering that Bournemouth eventually will be playing 2 games a week when the Europa League starts. That's going to be so interesting to see how the Cherries balance their squad when it's not the biggest squad in the world. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how they cope with that, as well as obviously their Premier League domestic campaign. I think they'll be safe and sound in the Premier League, but they have to make these early games count, especially before they get into playing 2 games a week, which I think really does kick in around about the middle of October time. So when that does kick in, that's where it's going to be interesting to see how Bournemouth react to that. But for me, in this particular game, I can't look beyond City. I think they just have the overall quality to do it, whether it's with the likes of Semenyo against his former club of Bournemouth, or whether it be Erling Haaland, who normally starts the season like a runaway freight train. I've got to go with City. I've got to go with City on this one. Next up, the Amex Stadium plays host to Brighton versus Aston Villa, and I have gone with a 2-1 win to Aston Villa. Now, again, these are another couple of teams that do intrigue me. Villa have had a lot of change this summer. A fair few players leave, a fair few players have joined. None more so than the likes of Morgan Rogers and Emi Martinez are seemingly out of the door at Villa Park. I think it's going to be an interesting season for Villa, especially when you consider that you're throwing in Champions League football as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how Unai Emery copes with that, as well as copes with the big name players' loss. I know that they're bringing in a couple of players as well. The Swiss kid whose name escapes me, I can't remember his name. He looks a really good talent. I think if they do get that Suzuki as a replacement for Emi Martinez in goal, he looks a decent goalkeeper. So I'm very much intrigued by Villa this season and with what they can do. As far as what Brighton are concerned, again, they have Europa Conference League football, so Brighton fans enjoy that for what it's worth. I just slightly worry about the Premier League form. I slightly worry in terms of the attack. I think everywhere else, they are solid enough. I think they're fine. I'm intrigued to see Brighton this season. I'm just curious about the attack. Losing Danny Welbeck, losing a big goal threat, and not necessarily replacing him right now. There is still a couple of weeks left of the window, remember? So they haven't placed him right now, I don't think. But yeah, losing that goal threat that might be big. That could be telling in the coming weeks, and especially like I said, with other teams like Bournemouth and like with Sunderland, you've got to make these early games count, especially especially before you start playing 2 games a week. Because normally, when teams aren't used to playing 2 games a week, they tend to sort of stutter and lose a bit of momentum in certain games, especially after coming off the back of like traveling across Europe or whatever. So I'm very much intrigued to see Brighton this season handle the pressure, and of course handle the attack that is now Danny Welbeckless. But yes, very much intrigued to see both of these teams in action. As far as what this game goes, I think Aston Villa will have much more in the attacking third than what Brighton do, and that is why I'm giving them the edge in this game. Penultimate game on this list comes from Craven Cottage, and it's a London derby where Fulham will play host to Chelsea, and I've gone with a 2-1 win to Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea are definitely ones to watch this season. 1 game a week, Xabi Alonso now at the helm, and with some big signings across the summer in terms of both quality and experience. Chelsea are looking good right now. Chelsea are looking like they're in a good position right now. And I, for one, am intrigued. I'm very much intrigued to see what the Blues can do this season, because it's not at the realms of possibility for them to go on and make a title charge. It's also not at the realms of possibility for them to just battle for a place for Europe. I think the bare minimum for the Blues this season, obtain Champions League football. And whatever else comes along with that afterwards, or even further beyond that point, is a bonus. Either way, they should be able to get it. Taking advantage of 1 game a week, we saw how important that was for Manchester United last year. Chelsea should be able to obtain that, and I think they've got the squad to do it, especially if Xabi Alonso can get a tune back out of Cole Palmer. Obviously, the addition of Morgan Rogers is massive. And if João Pedro can continue his goal-scoring form up front, whilst also having Danny Welbeck behind him, just in case he's not firing on all cylinders, then Chelsea, I think, will be fine in that particular aspect. Anything else, like I say, is a bonus. As far as Fulham are concerned, again, another team with a brand new manager at the helm in Alvaro Arbeloa. It would be poor to basically judge Arbeloa based purely on his time at Real Madrid, his short spell at Real Madrid, because I don't think it was enough time to really judge him on, or even judge him on based off of the situation he was placing himself in at Real Madrid. So, very much intrigued to see how Alvaro Arbeloa does. He's no stranger to the Premier League in terms of being a player from his time at both Liverpool and West Ham. But of course, being a manager, different kettle of fish. It's going to be interesting to see how he adapts. I know they've made a couple of big signings as well. Not that I'm too aware of those signings. I would be lying if I said I knew them inside and out. But at the same time, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Fulham set up this season, how they react to the situation, and how they do overall. They've gone from the reliable Marco Silva to obviously a bit of a gamble in Alvaro Arbeloa. So this one's going to be interesting to say the least. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how both of these teams set up. And of course, it is a London derby, so it might be a little bit fierce, a little bit feisty for us to kick the season off. But the 2-1 scoreline in Chelsea's favour reflects purely based on their strength and depth, their quality. I just think Chelsea get the job done in this one, and they kick off the Xabi Alonso era with a big win. And finally, what I believe to be the biggest game in this round of fixtures, the main event of this Premier League weekend to kick off the brand new season. We're at St James's Park for Newcastle versus Liverpool in what I'm sure is going to be a very emotional moment, especially with the passing of Kevin Keegan over the summer, of course. So I'm sure tributes will be laid. I'm sure it will be a very emotional game overall between these two. But 2 things that I do know about this fixture from a footballing perspective. Number 1, there's always goals. There is always goals when these 2 teams meet, and last season was no different. We all remember last season. We all remember the story about going into the game. I think it was the second game of the season, actually, if memory serves me correctly. Newcastle versus Liverpool on and off the pitch, when you consider that the Alexander Isak saga was still going on between these two. Liverpool raced into a 2-goal lead. 10 men Newcastle managed to fight back to 2-2, and then the debutant Rio Engamoa in the 100th minute of the game, winning the game. So there's goals galore. And following on from that Rio Engamoa moment, not that Newcastle fans will like me for reminding them of that, but also there's also late goals. That's the second point. There's late drama in this fixture consistently and constantly. So don't leave too early, because the chances are is that you're probably going to miss something spectacular. I'm going with Liverpool. Now, it may be a little bit of bias because they're my team. It might be a little bit of, delusion. I don't know. But at the same time, Liverpool should be licking their lips at this prospect. This is a very difficult game. It's always going to be a difficult game. Regardless of what you think about Newcastle, regardless of how you see the club from the outside looking in, this is always going to be a difficult game at St James's Park. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Whether they've got Eddie Howe or not, whether they've got Bruno Guimaraes or not, Sandro Tonali or not, Anthony Gordon or not, and they don't have those players. They don't have those players. They don't have the manager. It's still going to be a very difficult game because of what St James's Park is, how the fans react, the first game of the season. So this is going to be an extremely difficult game for Liverpool. So I'm kind of glad we're getting this game out the way and done with early. I'm not necessarily expecting Liverpool to win this. I know I've gone with my prediction as 3-2 to win, but that's purely based off of the two things that I mentioned earlier, goals and late drama, and the fact that Liverpool should be sensing blood, given the fact that they are going to be without a few key players. But what I am expecting from Liverpool is definitely a better performance. I'm expecting them to show me that we're heading in the right direction right off the bat. I'm not expecting it to be perfect under Iraola. I'm not expecting it to be immaculate. But what I am expecting is for us to show that we've improved going forward, we've improved defensively, we've improved our control of the game from the midfield. Everything that Arne Slot basically made us flop with last season. I'm expecting just better from Liverpool overall. The fact that we win 3-2 is purely based off the individual quality that we have to, I think, get us out of these moments. And what I would love, absolutely love it, channeling my own Kevin Keegan there a little bit, I would absolutely love it if we beat them. But I'd absolutely love it even more if a certain Alexander Isak got, at the very least, the winning goal. That would be immense for me. I'm going with Liverpool. I think we just have the better quality, better depth, but I think it will be a tough game. I think we do have holes defensively. We do have vulnerabilities, and I just think that maybe Newcastle could be a team that picks us apart on those. So I'm going with the Reds to win, but don't rule out Newcastle from getting something, even if they are without some key players like Bruno Guimaraes, like Sandro Tonali, like Anthony Gordon. It's not going to be a walk in the park, that's for sure. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first game week predictions locked in by yours truly. These are just the thoughts, comments, and opinions and predictions, mainly predictions, of this guy, of course. I want to know from you, though. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your feelings, but most of all, of course, your predictions down below in the comment section. I'm sure they'll all make for great and interesting reading, so please do get involved and use and abuse that comment section down there, people. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up. If you enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Postings are always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and for listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video, or live stream, or whatever it may be. Cheers guys, thanks everyone for watching, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.